it you know, you understand that, right? Like it doesn't do 1,000x, 1,000x, 1,000x. Like it'll taper down. So I'm just putting a 10x. I'm using the market cap, and then um, I'm using the cost, the investment, the initial investment into Zen. So that's like economic energy. It's the economic energy today. What $5 is today should translate later on, right? In time, it'll, $5 today will be worth more tomorrow, and I'm doing it like that, and it kind of adds up to around $10,000 put in now, as if you had bought Ethereum at cheap prices. But the difference is that when it was Ethereum, you only had to put around $300 when it was 30 cents. When it was $10, well, you have to put quite a bit more.
Okay, I follow you.
You see what I'm saying? So today it's not 300 or so dollars. It's $10,000. But you get to that retirement, that one. I think it's around 1.6 or so, 1.6 million. So it'd be a bit more than the example. So then if you yield 7%, you'd get 100 grand a year, right? In economic energy. And it would adjust if there's any inflation or things like that, like spikes, it would adjust. So it's kind of cool. Like, it's not $300. It's $10,000. But then again, what was $300 then? And well, it wasn't, it wouldn't translate to 10,000, but it's still a lot of space. And I think I'm being reasonably conservative. I'm putting a 10x, right? Not 1,000x. Bring the market cap at around 10 trillion, right? Which is,
Yeah, and keep in mind that in Ethereum, you haven't until like just we're coming up on where you can do delegating. So you haven't had any kinds of real methods within Ethereum. You had to go outside either to centralized houses like uh, Celsius or something like that to get any yield on Ethereum, right? But you'd be able to get yield on Zen, right, kind of right from the start. So it could radically boost those numbers.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I mean, the tokenomics are different. Many variables will make it different. But no, it was just I was bringing up that question and kind of talking about it just to for everyone, and just to raise that to address that feeling of sometimes if someone listens to you talking about 30-cent Ethereum, it's kind of like, oh well, those days are far, long gone. There's no way that I can get to that, but with just a 10x, if you're in the beginning of a project, as Ethereum was in its beginnings and was a successful project. Okay, obviously doesn't apply in a project that's not successful and that flops and everyone forgets about. In a successful project, that's kind of what that's a very reasonable expectation. You know, it's true that the more further we go, I mean, the rate growth is not as strong. You can't buy Bitcoin for a penny or 10 cents, but those days are gone. But there's still a lot of expansion possible for crypto, and I think a 10x is extremely reasonable, like very reasonable within a very reasonable time frame. The next big cycle, basically, that's what I'm looking at, because that's just a cycle. Like economically speaking, we're talking of like a decade. I mean, some would say that's half a cycle. It depends how you look at it. On some metrics, it's a quarter of a cycle, right?
Yeah, Binance and Ethereum have only been really about 5 years, right? 2017 to 22.
Right, exactly. In crypto terms, it's like, yeah, like one full cycle, one Bitcoin halving, let's say, and you were positioned before that, and then you go through all of that.
And
Like
there was
with,
plenty of others that did similar things, and even there's a lot of projects that did even larger returns in shorter times that you just don't really hear about because it was short lived, right? Like they either crashed back down, like Bitcoins, which became Ethos. It did a run from 0.4 cents to $12, then crashed back down to 3 4 cents and bottomed along until I think that happened when it was Ethos, and then Voyager merged with Ethos, and they changed the Ethos ticker to Voyager, and it did a run up to $7 from 3 cents to $7, $8 maybe, and then it crashed back down. Now we're sitting somewhere around 50 cents. But if you got in on that initial pump from 4 cent or 0.4 cents to $12, and move that economic energy at the top out to something like Binance and staked it in the delegations, you're sitting in the same situation and probably even greater. I remember that token literally in almost a day passing everything else in my portfolio for overall market cap value. Like it passed up everything I had from in Bitcoin or any of the Bitcoin forks or Ethereum Classic. I mean, it literally just blew past everything in value in your portfolio. So those things happen all the time, but you have to know how to manage those events and get off and
well, yeah,
get
that's
into
that
the
that
secure
that
assets.
right. But those are always present. You can make a 500x with the and just about anything, like any coin, right? Like has no use case. So those are always existent. Well, you can't do it with a lot if there's not the volume. Like you can do it to a certain extent, but they're just those are not like good metrics to measure with. So I'm using Ethereum, Bitcoin, things that kept their economic energy that are measures of the overall market and the market cap. So they kept, you know, um,
Yeah,
like
and I
if
don't
we do,
I don't think either Binance or Ethereum expecting another a 10x from their tops, like $40,000 Ethereum or $7,000 Bitcoin or Binance token. I don't think either one of them are unrealistic.
if they no, they should follow if they keep the economic energy growing at the rate of the overall market, and they keep their share of the market, they should follow or keep pace or just about. But some things will grow very quickly, and those can. Then the question is, they can grow very quickly and they can make, like you say, tremendous amounts. But then the question is, do they keep it? So I'm measuring in a sense, like in imagining that Zen would just grow, follow the overall market, actually be a contributor in growing that market, bringing new economic energy, and also holding that economic energy within it. And then if you put it on an 8-year horizon, you can easily call that a cycle, like a full cycle. Same as the Ethereum that you're saying was, 5 years old.
Sure. I think um, Zen's two greatest strengths are probably its ability to pull in a massive user base and the proof of burn, turning the initial token creation and distribution method into a deflationary token. I think that that combination of things, depending upon what people decide and create on the proof of burn function and the overall amount of users that they pull in, which, with this creation and token distribution model being like, so no brainer for just about anyone. I mean, you want to get into crypto, it doesn't get any easier than minting Zen tokens. It really doesn't get any, and as an entry level thing, this is way easier than like everything you've seen prior to this, ICOs and airdrops and all of it, all of it. This is way easier.
What market cap can we expect in the next bull run?
The market cap of Zen?
Yes.
Well, the market cap, we have to know the supply and whatever liquidity is going to be there. So it's very hard to say that. The market cap doesn't mean that much. Like it's a measure of liquidity and supply. It's just a measure. It's really the liquidity that matters.
To that, I'm still trying to understand the whole liquidity thing because I get like people say, oh, people will provide liquidity. Well, it's like, okay, what people? I get exchanges are doing it, but when it comes time for like Uniswap and PancakeSwap trading to start really taking off, usually tokens when they launch, right, they create an allocation for liquidity tax. So I'm just wondering when that happens eventually, when trading really kicks off, where's the liquidity going to come from for PCS and Uniswap? Like, are we just expecting like venture
Okay.
capitalists or whatever come in?
Well, okay. Like just in the example you're giving, why do people provide liquidity? For example, like in the example you're referring to, what would be the reason to provide liquidity? Never mind Zen. I'm just asking, like somewhat of as an exercise. In the example you're giving, like in projects, normally someone provides liquidity and they take fees, right?
Yeah, they do it so that the token can get traded, right? So that that's what gives value to the token, if I'm understanding right, is how much available liquidity there is. Because when rugs happen and they take out all the liquidity, then you're just stuck with a bunch of coins on a platform and can't even trade them or sell them or do anything because you just can't, right? Isn't that what happens or no?
So there's basically, well, there's many ways and to provide liquidity, but like in that kind of example that you're referring to, I'd say there's two basic ways there that are mostly used. So one is to supply some liquidity to create a project. So those can be coming from devs or people close to the project where they're supplying liquidity, okay, to kind of give a chance for the market to happen, for the project to go, and to oftentimes, I mean, given somewhat of an illusion, right, of a market cap to a project. I say illusion because the market cap that you see is in relation to the total supply and the price discovery of the pool, okay, of the what it's trading at in those liquidity pools. But as you know, if everybody dumps, in a liquidity pool, the price is going to go down very quickly, and so will the market cap. Okay. And it's not a measure, it's just an estimation. Okay. Market cap, it's an estimation based on the liquidity and the supply. So that's one reason that you provide liquidity, is to permit something to actually happen and a project to go. Another reason is when there is a project that's already going and there is demand, people will give supply just for those fees. So they want to get the fees, right? They will front the money just to get the fees. They're not necessarily wanting the project to succeed. It's not the question. They're not close to the project or maybe even in the project. They're just supplying the liquidity, right? Like Ethereum or whatever. Or they know there's going to be a lot of volume, there's going to be a lot of demand, and because there's got a lot of volume, a lot of trading and buying and selling, they will provide the liquidity. So to answer your question with Zen, no, there's not that first kind of liquidity providing where people are supplying. Well, it did happen the first day, kind of, but with MXC, but that's, again, it was for the volume, and they were trying to create a false demand and speculation. But yeah, there's no founder that's putting in liquidity, or friends of the founder that's putting liquidity to give an illusion to the price. So it's really going to be, at some point, people are going to voluntarily, whether they're, whatever, for the sole purpose of providing liquidity in something that they think is going to have a lot of volume and is worthwhile to provide liquidity to. So yeah, that's how the market cap is derived. And the more supply there is, and the higher the price is, and the price point between the buy and the sell, right? And that price point that we see, and then you get the market cap from that and the supply, the total supply. But the minute people start dumping, that number changes and the market cap changes. So there's not nobody. It's never a case where everybody could get their money out if there was a run on the liquidity pool, like a run on the bank. It's just, right, like nobody could get their dollars if everybody went to the bank and tried to get them at the same time. The money won't be there. The dollar won't be worth the dollar. It's always just a pool for those who want to get out and those who want to get in. It's like a entrance to the door of a building. Everyone can't go through it at the same time. You understand?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're so used to these freaking shit coins putting in liquidity that we think that's the only way. And we're gonna find out with Zen. Like, I'm optimistic. I like it. It's an experiment. It's a disruptor, but I'm just like concerned about the whole liquidity aspect. But we'll find out. It's getting enough attention.
Well, I mean, it's really about demand, right? Is there demand for something? If there's demand for something, there's going to be liquidity providers. If there's users, if there's millions of users, we're already closing in, slowly creeping into 10 million users, beat records of all cryptos.
Yeah, that's
So,
insane. 10 million users. What the hell?
right. So we're beating users in the first week of all projects, right? So why would there not be liquidity? Why would there not be demand? Why would there not be liquidity providers when there's liquidity providers for all kinds of little, coins? They're trying to get the volume. I'm not talking about the ones where the dev is providing or creating a little pool to get people to buy initially, but I'm just talking about like just popular coins projects that are like in for the week or two, and people, they go and they sometimes will go there just to get the volume, to catch some volume on something, like what
I think
MXC did.
as minting becomes more expensive over time, people will look to buy it versus mint it, and other people will be looking to then sell some of what they've minted and be more willing to provide liquidity. I think it'll be a very organic thing, that this shift between low liquidity, low volume to higher liquidity, high volume. I think it'll be a very organic, natural shift.
Yeah, especially
Yeah.
the more users, the more demand and supply, the more volume, the more there's going to be. Like there's going to be more volume if there's the adoption rate. So it's really about the use case. I mean, liquidity providers, they go where the market is, where the demand is, and I already know that there are people that are setting up liquidity, but for the time being, and for a time, they're maybe just going to take the one side of the trade, and at some point there's going to be people that are going to be wanting to take just the side of buying Zen, and at other times they're going to be wanting to sell Zen.
Yeah. No, it's really gonna be crazy to see what happens in like 10 years from now. I mean, we're so used to the instant gratification in crypto, but this project is really, like I said, it's disrupting the way we think, and it's really creating a lot of questions that we don't really know the answer to, and it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be a ride.
Yeah, I mean, if it does what it's doing, it does what it's doing, because it's already doing it, right? It's already onboarding people, and we can see that it's from all over the world. So a lot of different demographics, and just it's the opportunity, the sense of opportunity to just pay gas and mint your own coins, and the first principles of crypto and those kinds of things, and all the people who are fearful of getting into speculative coins, the kinds you were alluding to, they're just little, projects, degen projects, and they don't want to get into those things. So now all that attraction is just uh, bringing, that's what we were talking earlier, it's bringing new economic energy into the system, not only the whole of crypto, but specifically into Zen, because it's locking it in. These mints are long, they're going to be stakeable. So it's specifically putting into Zen more so than any other part of the crypto sphere, but it's the whole crypto sphere as well, because it's helping to onboard into this crypto sphere. So it's like what we've been seeing in the last year or two or three. It's like kind of saying, how, when you ask the question, like how are we going to get uh liquidity, money, or something, the ball rolling, comparing it to like kind of a casino, kind of mentality, where yeah, sure, the casino's there, and it's it's willing to deal you another hand, always another hand, but it's not generating new. It's just dealing you another hand, but to the same bunch of degen gamblers, right? I mean, if I'm kind of generalizing, but talking to that part of the market, right? How DeFi has been. So it's just shuffling money around, and so it's just dealing you another hand, another project, another bet, another risk, and but it's not bringing in new economic energy, uh, and that's the difference. So it's very different way of seeing it. In a way, it's not a gamble, it's not a degen play like that. You kind of cost averaging in, and it's long term and all that kind of stuff, and then talk of growth rate, but there's no reason that I can see that would hinder in any way that there would be liquidity or market participants, and both sides of the trade just growing equally, and you know uh, exchanging between each other at all times. It's just not a casino concept. That's the only thing that's like.
Yeah, it's actually building a foundation, but yeah, it's just a little hard to rack your mind around when you're, like I said, we're just so used to all these tokens and the way they've been kind of structured. and normalized. But it's good. This is different. So
And then it's like people talk about whales and that kind of thing, but it's like in the small projects, it's like people say the whales, but they're not really whales. They're really more so sharks. Okay, whales, real whales, they go where they like to go where the masses are and where there's a lot of liquidity and where there's a lot of volume. You know, whales are the Googles and the big money. Okay, the big money, not
right.
the biggest money, right?
Yeah, not the guys that are gonna dump on you when there's a 20% spike.
Exactly. You know, those are the sharks. It's a different thing, but people call them whales. Oh, the whale and da da da. But real whales, they go where the money is, where the people are, where the economy is, where the growth is, where the GDP is, right? So I don't see if Zen and the people that are getting on Zen are doing their part and they're creating that market and that adoption, those bigger money, those liquidity providers, and not the shark dumpers, okay, are going to be coming in slowly into the market and seeing how they can take advantage of what Zen is.
Hello, guys.
Hey, Stanley.
Okay, greetings, everybody. Please, quick one. I just want to ask. Now, we have like Zen is on as in it can mint on three different. Is it five different chain? Now, I want to ask. What's the difference? As in, what is it like? Me now, okay, like I prefer minting on BSC, and others are minting across all five chains. So I really want to know, is there going to be like any kind of unique in prices in the future? Maybe the one of Ethereum is going to be different from the one of BSC, and what is the advantage of? Does it really matter if I mint on all chains? I want to know, please.
Great question. Great question. So I would say I would agree with you at your last statement that there's an advantage to mint on all chains because you're kind of you're taking all the bets of where the the different um
You're
the different
averaging out your
yeah.
you're averaging out your risk across the price discovery across chains.
And also you have an opportunity, it gives you an opportunity to arbitrage that. So it gives you more flexibility and options at different times in the market. So if, for example, Polygon, and we're already seeing that Polygon overtook in terms of users BSC. But for a time, it seemed that BSC was like by far had exceeded Polygon because it grew faster, but Polygon grew not quite as fast, but fast and longer, right? And now it overtook BSC. And also there could be different things that occur on the different chains that could make that the prices move in very sudden ways or different directions. So you could having on different chains, you'll be able to know like, okay, now's a good time to sell because the ratio, the value compared to the others is actually quite high now, and this one is maybe lower, and you can move around like that. uh other than that, I would say that Ethereum, the Ethereum chain, which is called Zen and not BZen, PZen, or AZen, uh, it will be likely the master Zen, the one that will have some use cases first, or will be more accessible for example, um, real transactions between like merchants or things like that. They will likely use the Ethereum Zen. So if you want to go and use certain aspects of the Zen ecosystem, you would use the Ethereum Zen. So you would have to sell out your other Zens to go convert into into that Zen. So that's going to be a flow, a constant undercurrent towards Ethereum Zen. So that's to put into the equation as well. It's not to say that the Ethereum Zen is necessarily going to do better. The Polygon Zen could do very good because there could be really mass adoption. That's a lot of energy, economic energy, and interaction. But yeah, that's to consider as well.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much.
Still getting through the ETH mints for under $3. If you just set your GUI at about 12, they'll go through relatively quick, less than 30 seconds to a minute, and you get them under $3.
Really, right now, I
Yeah.
wasn't able to get under $3 today. I tried a few times.
Oh yeah, you can get them. You can get them right now.
Okay. So the
Set your GUI
okay.
to 12, and you get them. I think you could set your GUI as it's max GUI you're setting, so that's why I set it to 12, because I think 10 would even go through, but you might wait a little longer. But these are going through like pretty quick, like within 30 seconds to a minute at under $3.
Very nice. I'm seeing 10 Gwei now on the low side. Very good, because I just looked at the chart and Zen is still number 1 on the gas chart as the number 1 gas guzzler,
It's
and we're
freaking
getting
badass, dude. That's gonna get so many eyes. I feel like that in itself is gonna bring people in, like the whales and stuff.
well, yeah, already. I was thinking of that earlier today. It's like for sure there's people behind the scenes who are kind of scurrying to try to figure out like, okay, so what's going to be our move, right? Like, how are we going to take advantage of this? How are we going to be the
Yeah,
first to do something? I mean, I know
because this is.
there's little guys, but I'm sure there's big guys doing it too that are
Oh,
scratching their heads right now.
I'm sure there's big whale like ETH guys that are like, we can use Zen as a tool, right? Yeah, and that's what it almost is. It's like a tool to burn ETH at this point.
To burn Zen too. So it's going to be really fun when they start coming up with those ideas for how to create the layer 2 stuff on Zen that burns Zen.
Imagine if some corporation comes out and is like, yeah, we're gonna start testing with Zen. Be freaking nuts, dude. Like one of the big 5 tech companies. Like I think Facebook is using some ridiculous token um, made by like some kitty company. They were like a rug pull, and they're using them. I forget what it's Flow. Like Flow was created by some token that rugged, and they're going with them. So it's like, why not go with something that has a dev behind it who is reputable? You know.
You're talking about, is this like the bankroll flow?
Uh, I'm not sure. I just know it's a token or crypto called Flow, and it was created by like the Crypto Kitties or something like that.
It was it okay? This was like just any coin, right? It was not like a big market cap. This was like one of those degen plays, right? Or similar.
Yeah, yeah, similar.
Okay, yeah, I know that one. That was bankroll. What were you saying? Sorry, I missed. What were you saying about that?
Oh, so my point is, if Facebook is going with a project like Flow, right? Who's kind of just like a weird team that was a degen play. Imagine the companies in the future that would want to work with Zen. Because when that flow thing released, it caused a decent demand in that token, obviously, right? So when Zen is established a couple years down the line, and the volatility has kind of chilled out, it's probably bullish for people for the it's probably gonna be bullish sentiment for people that want to use it in some sort of capacity, right? Since it's so user friendly,
Yeah,
since
yeah.
it's adaptation.
Good point. I hadn't actually thought about that. Like, it's funny because yeah, that makes total sense. Like that the social network would use them. Like right, exactly. And Facebook wanted to launch their own coin. That
Yeah,
didn't work out, right? And now they have Zen they
yeah,
could use or make use of. Yeah. Or if not them, because maybe they're gonna, no, we got to do our own thing or whatever. But some will understand that might not be the biggest ones, but might be the upcoming ones. This the more aggressive and trying to be the first. Because sometimes those companies are not so fast. When they get so big, it's like everything is so like long and costly. Just jump on the opportunity.
Hey, honey deals, how about
yeah,
this? How about you mint you can get under 3 now, so you mint your longest term stakes out, like your 400-day terms, right? And if you're doing like, I don't know, monthly rolls, you do the 400 and the 370, and you do those ones, and then like if fees should come back down to the 5 GUI range, we haven't seen them under 5 GUI really in a really really long time, right? So 5 GUI is going to be kind of, that's the max you're going to see down on the GUI probably, right? So if they come back down to the 5 GUI, then you start filling in backwards towards the shortest ones so that you got your rolls set up. And then once you, because then you got to wait for 30 days to extend out before you can do another say, let's say 400 is your max rollout, and you do that at 10 GUI. And so you have to wait for another 30 days to pass before you can do another batch of 400s, right? And so if you fill in them,
Right.
so if you
But
fill in them rolls,
what are okay? So are you actually choosing 400? Like you're organizing in that way? You're
well, I'm just
creating.
saying if that's what you did, right? So I'm just saying instead of start at the short term and go 30, 60, 90, 120, go up to the long term. And wherever that long term is right now, let's just say it's at 400 because there's a bunch of networks you can mint at 400. So
Okay.
so
Yeah. So
mint
you're
your
at 400. Yeah. Longest term.
so
Okay.
yeah, mint your longest term ones, and if you're making monthly rolls, as the GUI or if the GUIs drop back, then mint the ones prior to it. Go come back 30 days or back 60 days or whatever your rolls are, right? If you do
That's
every
what
two
I'm
months,
trying to do myself because with the shorter term mints, I might have a better chance, even though I might be paying a little bit more in gas right now.
yeah, better to pay the
With
more
the
in gas on
shorter
the
term
longer
mints,
terms.
might still be paying much less in 30, 60, 90 days versus 360 days. Gas fees could be
Yeah,
$100 by then.
yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm doing. What's what I'm saying.
Okay. I'm
You're
not.
basically
I'm
you're
actually not.
basically be extracting more value out of the gas fees with the short
Yes.
term versus
Yes.
guys.
like
So like if fees are
gambling
10,
on.
rather than wait for 5 GUIs, mint, but only mint the longest term ones. And then if 5 GUIs does show up, then mint your shorter term ones because
But why
cost.
are you minting the shorter term one? That's the part I don't understand. What's the
Oh,
objective of
just
that?
so, well, the for me the objective is just like I want to set up like rolling 2 month contracts, right? So I want to have to have something every 2 months. I'm minting one
Oh,
batch.
you're thinking of the stakes. You're thinking of the yield on the stakes in a sense. You're trying to
Um,
consolidate your mints to be able to start the staking and not be stuck
so,
with a whole bunch of mints.
well, two things: the stakes and the liquid, right? Because I want to have liquid all along the way. I want to be building some liquid stash all along the way because you don't know what's going to happen, right?
That's what
And
I'm prepared for. Like, I can see something big happening in the next month, 1 to 3 months, like
yeah,
something really neat. And you're gonna
yeah.
want
And then if you
liquid
don't
for
have
it.
any liquid, you're just SOL. You have to sit that one out or mint one day or something where you don't get shit.
You're amazing. Thank you.
But that
I'm
that's a
mitten.
gamble as well. We don't know what's gonna happen. So
No, I like the theory though. I like it because I'm sitting here mitten. I don't know how to get the GUI down that low, guys. I'm paying like
I,
$3, three
yeah,
thirty. Is that
if
fair?
you're paying close to $3, just set your when your pop up confirmation screen comes on, hit the edit button above the fee,
I think I
and
did
then
that, and
click
I put
on
it low.
it.
I put it in low,
No, no,
right?
no. Just no. Click advance. Leave that alone. Just click advance,
Okay, I'll
and
try
then
on my next
you
one.
and then you'll see three fields. Don't mess with the top two because that's gas and your tip. You just want to change the bottom one. And right now you can change the bottom field. Just you can't highlight over it and delete. You have to literally delete them all one at a time with the back button. So just put the cursor in there, delete it back, and put 12 in. You could easily get 12 GUI fees through the system right now, and that'll
And what
be
is and what
like
is
in
that
the
equivalent to what? Because
like 280 around
I just paid
280.
330, so I can't complain.
Yeah, it
But
saves you
where
50. That saves you about 50 cents on each one, and you're not only going to wait a few more minutes, a minute at most.
no worries, no worries. I'm on the mobile app though.
Yeah,
Jeff.
I've never used the mobile on
Yeah,
MetaMask, so I'm not sure what it looks like.
but I appreciate the insight on the months because liquid honey deal. I try to get these guys to deal and wheel with me, but they're sharks. They're sharks. They don't want to give it up. Some
Hey,
they don't want to give it up. They don't want to give up the liquid. I try to tell them. I try to negotiate with them a little bit on the Zen, trying to give up the Zen, but they're not trying to give it up, dude.
well,
Remember,
it's
you
the
can.
honey deals. What we're kind of trying to hit on there is like maybe
Yeah, I
like
thought it through.
if
You were
if
talking.
you're
Yeah.
interested in short term stuff, if some cool burn token or something NFT comes out in the near future, then we might be able to take advantage of these fees now, and they might even go down even more from today. Who knows? But it'd be a lot different if
It's a
Ethereum
play.
picks up
It's a
in a
play.
year or something, and you're kind of
It
shit
is,
out of
but
luck.
yeah, it is possible. I still think that if you want to speculate, Zen is not necessarily the ideal coin to do it for at least the first, I would say, year, like that price discovery point. But
No, I'm
yeah,
about
it's doable.
speculating Zen itself, just like other projects that are built on top of Zen that might
Yeah,
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 yeah, you're
be
speculating on the
core.
layer two stuff.
right, right. No,
That
no,
you
I think
might have to have Zen to burn.
yes, it's absolutely possible, and it could be absolutely correct. In my view, 1 year was short term, not long term. Like I don't see 1 year from now those first mints as being anything long term. It's like that's the kind of short term in my view. So I was kind of like not thinking about that, like to do the short stakes. But I do see how you're cycling them and you're trying to, because there's a liquid, yes, but there's also, I think you were thinking about the staking also, right? To consolidate your
Yeah,
stakes.
so say you do an 80-20, right? You just keep 20% liquid and 80% in stakes, and then you roll those stakes into 1,000-day stakes. So you're still getting good return on them Zen that are sitting there, but you got this pot building up of this 20%, or it could even be 10%. I'll probably do more like 20%, honestly. And then if some opportunity, so I'm just sitting on them. I'm just saying, okay, whatever they cost me now, that's fine, right? Like I maybe maybe slightly overpaying for them in the moment. But if a really creative secondary option comes up that it says if you burn a millions and you can get this thing that's going to be infinitely rare and it's a cool thing that may accelerate in value faster than the Zen, right? If I have the million Zen to burn, I can burn it. I can take advantage of that. Then all I have to do is look at my cost of what it was to mint that million Zen, and I know that's my cost getting into the next secondary thing. Because I think there's going to be some really creative secondary. I'm thinking of some cool ideas. If I was a dev, I know there's some cool shit I would build.
I mean, you
And,
could
and
even do like the short-term stuff, the short-term mints, right? And then just you could stake it. You'd be adding on more gas on top of that. And then you just have these short-term C ranks that you've already staked for 1,000 days. And if you really feel like it's necessary, you can unstake them early and just pull out the original Zen out of it, lose your stake, and then you're gambling on this new burn NFT or whatever. There's lots of options out there. Adding that
well, I'm
extra
just looking
gas
at
on
it.
top of the stake though too is kind of
Look at it from the perspective of a monthly roll. Okay. So 30, 60, 90, all the way out to as max you can go. So if you create a batch of everything from 30, 60, 90 and on all the way out, you get out to about 400 days, right? 360, then 400. That's as max you can go. Now, a 30 days has to pass before you can roll another one out past that 400, which will also be a 400. It just for a 400 and something, but it isn't going to be a 430 because we're not going to the mint the mint terms aren't going to accelerate by 30 days. Odds are they're probably not going to, because you have to have what, like a fucking million wallets or something claim to get to there. That's probably not going to happen in 30 days. It could, but whatever. If that shows up early, just add another one out there. So now every 30 days that one comes mature and you mint it, you could literally use those same addresses to roll them out to the furthest one out. You make one into 10 because you'd have 10 if you did monthly, right? You'd have 10 batches. And then every month you'd just be rolling one out to the new 10. Two would become the one and three would become the two and whatever. It's just like rolling futures contracts. And you just roll
And
another one
the
out there.
main
So
the main objective of this is it more so related with the staking or with the liquidity here?
mm, um, more staking in liquid than liquidity, but it gives you the ability to provide liquidity should liquidity become cost effective, right?
But then if you look, okay, so I think the most important part with the staking and organizing is definitely the claim and share function, right? To consolidate them, like that by far is the most important to not have an extra gas fee. And I did see that it was actually very cheap. It was the same price basically to claim and share. So anyway, point
I
being
did that
that
experiment too, right?
yeah, it was like the same price. I mean, obviously the gas
So
was
you claim and
fluctuating.
share them into the hardware wallet address until you've got X amount in there, right? Like, so say you set each hardware wallet address to be, I don't know, 10 million, right? So you consolidate them into that address until you reach 10 million. You stake 8 million. You got 2 million sitting there liquid. You create a new address. Now you roll the next batch into that address until you got 10 million. You stake 8 million. You keep 2 million liquid. And
Right.
each address is, you just, but the point is when you create these
Right.
batches up front, the time cost to you is a little excessive because you got to create all 10 batches or all 5 batches if you go every other month, right? You have to create all 5 batches. And if you're going to create those 5 batches, you want to start at the furthest one out while the GUI is 10. And then if the GUI should fall to 5, then it's more cost effective now to do the ones closer in. But once they're all set up, now you just come back once every 2 months and do your mint roll and make a new furthest out contract, right? And furthest out batch, whatever you want to call them.
Right. But let me just show something here, and it really shows how that's important, and also in what proportion to consolidate the stakes, and how it doesn't matter so much about the wait time. before you get that consolidation. And what is the amount? Like you gave the example of 8 million, for example, and then you make a stake. But maybe 8 million is not the ideal number. So think of it this way. If you were to stake every single one of your mints, okay? So we're talking about saving gas fees and like finding the GUI and all that. Well, imagine you take that mint and you don't use the claim and share function and you just stake it, claim and stake, right? Now, that's a terrible scenario because you're basically paying a full gas fee on top of the gas fee that you use to mint, right?
Yes.
So that's basically 2x for that stake. So let's say you're staking 5 million or 10 million mint, okay?
Yeah.
And
So
then
you
the
just
next one
doubled your average cost per token.
exactly, right? You just doubled your average cost per token. So follow me, you'll see it's really clear. So then you do day 2. Let's say you were doing one every single day. You were doing one of those gas efficient mints every single day, always choosing the longest term. So now on day 2, you have another one that comes to fruition and you can claim it. And then you do the same thing, you just stake it. You just doubled your gas fee on that one too, right? So if you do that every single day and you're doubling your gas fee on every single one, that's very costly. It's a 100% more on the price. So 50% loss.
Obviously, that's like illogical. I mean, this kind
Right.
of started with like holding liquid Zen as a
Right.
speculation.
Right.
No,
But
what he's
now,
saying is totally valid. It's because he's
Absolutely.
getting you
Yeah,
to the
and
lowest
I
cost
agree.
average per token. Because if you
yeah,
consolidate 10 of those mints and then stake, you have one staking fee for all 10 of them.
right.
Right,
So
right. Yeah,
now
totally
let's
agree.
so now continue the process. So let's say I do this just to illustrate. So I do this for 90 days. And every day I just stake. So 90 times. So I literally just lost 100%. No, 50%, but I doubled my cost. Okay. So 90 days just expired. And now what did I lose? Because I waited. So now look at it in the inverse. I don't do that. And for 90 days, I claim and share. I do not use the double mechanism and I just do one claim share. But I don't stake it, right? It's just sitting in the wallet. So now you could say, oh, well, now you're wasting time. You could be staking it. What about the yield, right? No. So it's just sitting there. It's liquid. That's an advantage. Now I do the next day and the same thing, claim and share, claim and share, claim and share, not staking nothing. 90 days go by, and now I end up with this huge one wallet with 90 days worth of claims. And then I take that and I stake it in one operation, right? And what did I lose? And what did I gain? I gained that 100%, that doubling of the cost. I did not. I just did one operation for 90 of them, so it's a fraction of a percent, okay, instead of that 100% increase. And what did I lose? I lost 1% on my yield of the staking. So now the staking went from 19 to 18 because I waited 90 days.
Well, we must have excited a bunch of people with this conversation because the GUI just doubled.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously it would be a huge speculation to do these short-term mints. It would be a speculation. It's a speculation in itself just to hold liquid, but then staking them as well, waiting for something to come along, is obviously exceeding that speculation that whatever you're waiting for is going to be well worth those gas costs, because it's going to be more than twice the gas cost, because you're going to be sending it all over to one address and staking, then you're unstaking, and then you're paying gas costs for whatever magical NFT comes out or whatever. I mean, it all compounds really fast. It's a huge speculation for sure, but I'm trying to decide if it's worth it for me. I mean, I'm sure something really neat is gonna come out in less than a year here, but we'll see.
I think so too. I think less than a year. And I want to be sitting on the sidelines with everything I could possibly need to max out my taking advantage of whatever happens next. So I want maximum stakes. I want a range of mints, and I want a pot of liquid. But Honey Deals is really the Zen master of maximizing the fees to get the most tokens. Like what
Oh,
he's saying is
absolutely,
absolutely the
absolutely.
like if you're just after the Zen long term, then follow exactly what he's saying and you'll get the maximum amount of tokens
That's
per
all I've
gas.
done is max everything so far, and now I'm considering the shorter term liquid stuff. I mean, I'm going to continue the long term mints, but it might be a good time to start for me to start considering those shorter term things if it's and I won't know if it's worth it until that time has passed. So you got to be ready for it.
Well, we just hit a
Yeah,
spike
the
there.
other part.
Being as we control 50% of the transaction capacity as a community, if we all set our gas fees low, we force the price of the gas down because we control 50%. So if we're all patient, we have no need to rush. We're not, it's not like you're trying to compete to get into the next NFT that has limited slots. Like this is a long-term, years-long plan. So if we all just set our GUI, like right now, if we set our GUI to 12 or 10, all of us consistently on every transaction we put in, we're willing to just sit there and wait till it gets filled. We collectively drive the price of gas down. The miners have to come to us. They're the validators. They have to come to us.
Absolutely. We were talking about that like right after what, a day or two after launch. We should be talking about this like several times a day because it'll catch on in the community.
Well, it's more relevant on ETH than on any of the other four networks, but still, we should definitely be doing it on ETH, you know, pushing the prices down.
But yeah, I'm sure you hear honey deals. I mean, it's just like it's pure speculation and just a strategy. It's not.
Sure. No, I get it. I get it.
Jack.
I just
Like I
want,
said before,
I want to be,
I
go,
feel
go ahead.
okay that for speculating and for those kind of quick moves, then I mean, because you can't just say, oh,
Honey
I
deal.
think
Can I
something,
interrupt?
sure.
I'm so sorry. I found the GUI chart, Jack. Where should I put the GUI at? What numbers?
Well, on the mobile, I've been setting them at 12 and they've been going through within 30 seconds to a minute, but we just doubled in the GUI and now they're kind of hanging up. But as
So
long as you'll
the
wait,
first line says
the
gas
the
limit.
yeah, that limit leave alone because that's how much gas the contract you need more than 175,000 gas for the contract uh, to process that transaction, right? And so
Max
it says,
property fee, second line. What do I do?
yeah,
1.5.
I leave that alone too because that's like the tip that the miners get. You don't want to be messing with that. Just leave that where they set it. That's pretty optimal. So the very bottom one tells you the GUI. That's the one
The
you want to
max
change.
fee. Okay, and it
Yep,
says
the
23
max GUI.
point. What do I put it at?
Yep. I've been putting them at 12 and they've been going through. So you'll have to wait a
Wow,
little while longer now. But
it's
just
okay
if
though.
we all do it, we'll push the price back down into that region again. Because again, we account for 50% of the transaction capacity. So just set them there at 12 and walk away. That's what I'm doing. I'm walking away from this one. It's gonna take a little while for it to get back there. And when I come back, it'll be filled and then I'll put in another one.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Looks like everybody's doing it because they're coming down rapidly. We're back down to 14, and the transactions you see going, into the blocks is pretty small. Here I can see 12 and 11 on the screen again. Yep, we're coming up. The next block will probably be 13 or 12. If you look at txstreet.com, it's a really cool visual on the transaction GUIs and the blocks being filled. It's super intuitive. You'll get it instantly, no matter what you know and don't know.
What
TX
do you call it?
Street,
What do you call it?
T TXSTREET, txstreet.com. Once you use it, you won't go back. You'll just keep using this.
Jack, can I ask you a question, please? Have you used Eden Rocket, and
Yeah,
does it
yeah,
help in
yeah.
such situations? Does it help?
Well, what Eden does, and Eden Rocket RPC is probably their best one. But yes, I do use Eden, and it sends your transactions to a private mempool so that people can't see them. In the case of what we're doing here, it doesn't really matter that much because no one's going to sandwich bot you on one of these claims. But it'll prevent you from getting front run and sandwich botted. And according to their agreement, the validators that agree to process the transactions in this private mempool agree to not fail transactions and charge users a fee anyway. That doesn't mean that they all keep their agreement. Sometimes you'll still get a failed transaction, but it's way less likely. So instead of just logging into the normal Ethereum RPC, you log into the Eden Rocket RPC, and and that's the only difference. They're still Ethereum transactions. They're still going through Ethereum validators. You It's all still Ethereum. It's the only difference,
Oh,
but it
they
is
have
it
two,
is
right?
useful.
They have two different ones, right? The Eden RPC and the Eden Rocket
Yeah,
RPC.
and the Eden Rocket tends to work a lot better from my experience. But yeah, I like it when I'm doing bigger transactions that I don't want to be visible in the public mempool. Yeah, hey, we got it back down to 12, guys. Nice, nice.
I did it.
Um,
Thank you, Jack. I did it, dude.
did you get through? Did your
Yes,
transaction
sir.
go through? Yeah.
Yeah, it
Okay, mine
lagged a
cleared
little.
too.
Yeah, it
Yep.
lagged a little, but I can deal with it.
But see, if we all do that, they'll
Hey,
lag just a little
let
bit,
the
but we force the validators to choose our price.
let the force be with us, dude.
That's right.
Let me tell you,
Collectively, we can do shit that.
collectively, this is real.
Yeah,
Talk
that's
to me,
right.
honey deals. Talk. This is real. This is powerful here, brother. Unity. Well, we spoke about it this morning. There's power in unity. Okay, when the forces together, nothing can come between us. You ain't coming to my barbershop with that bullshit. You know what I mean? You ain't coming
Now
over
wait,
there.
wait till we got hundreds of millions of users. Think of the economic force that is.
It's
Like people
amazing.
will
In a
be
week, in
begging
a
us to
week and a
come
half,
over and do their things.
and we just got to continue to have. Man, we've been. I told Jack Levin, I ain't slept ever since. This has been a disruptor. This has been a disruptor in my life. Zen. How can it not be when I have other people saying it's disrupted their lives, and this shit has been in their lives more than it. You understand? This is a disruptor, dude. So thank you. I'm here, bro. I'm changing the gray to 12.
Hey, do
So
you mind
Jack,
putting
I
down the
used
floor
I
for me,
used
please?
Jack, I used Eden Rocket on day one of minting, and I had failed transactions as well, and they didn't refund me the gas. Just to let you know. So
Yeah,
I
I
wonder
know
if you use it,
they do
you used
that.
it successfully.
I have, but I really kind of reserve it for the. I don't reserve it for or use it for things like this that are small, that where I'm not worried about sandwich bots or front running. I use it for larger transactions. If I was going to send, $10,000 worth of ETH somewhere or something, Like I would use it for that because I don't want to be front runner. I'm going to put in a big order on a DEX, right? I don't want to be sandwich botted. For this kind of stuff, I would just use the regular ETH RPC. You they don't all like they have an agreement. They're supposed to do this, right? But that don't mean people keep their agreement. And they don't have a mechanism in there to punish those that don't keep their agreements. And I think it's just because tracking all that data would be like, yeah, it'd be a nightmare.
Is that
So
correct way to use it? Because it still uses regular gas from the, and you
yeah,
can see the scan, right? So do you use a
yeah,
market price for that as well?
um, yeah. Typically, when I'm doing it, like I said, I'm doing a single transaction usually when I use RPC Rocket. I mean, Eden
And then
Rocket.
do you use a market price, or do you change the way to something
Uh,
else
well,
to much higher?
like I said, typically it's either send transactions or DEX. I don't use centralized exchanges, so and I typically don't use like Matcha or Matcha XYZ or 1inch for their limit orders because their limit orders are sort of still dysfunctional. I mean, it's a good attempt. I like to see that they're working towards making limit orders on DEXs. We'll get there. I just those particular methods of doing the limit orders are not super functional, so I don't really use them. Sometimes
So
you get
you
filled,
use it for
sometimes you don't.
DEXs.
I've actually had my order run over completely, and it's so far past my order that I could cancel my transaction and do a market order and get a better fill. I'm able to cancel my order and get a better fill. You know, that shouldn't happen in a real functional limit order.
Yeah, that's right.
So
Unless the limit order is very, very far from the market, then you
yeah,
put
but
it in and
hey,
go for it.
we're trying to do something that's never been done in creating limit orders on a DEX. That's pretty cool. So, I'm glad they're working on that problem. I'm gonna, I just don't, I choose not to use this particular iteration. I'm watching to see what they come out with next. And like Pancake's limit orders on their decks, they work really well. I always get at least as good or better fills. And if the market goes there, I get it. I have a feeling they're mixing their centralized exchange liquidity pools with their dexes, so that's how they can do that. But hey, it works, right? So where it works, use it.
So if I understand correctly, if you do a large send, it's probably better to use the Rocket
Yes,
RPC, and
yes,
if you are
and
not, if
and
you're using a
and
DEX,
large
then you
and,
probably use
and
the Eden
large dex
RPC.
orders, large dex
But
orders too.
if you're doing large DEX orders, wouldn't you use the Eden RPC rather than the Rocket?
You can try both. I mean, whatever one you have better luck with. I've had better luck with the rocket.
Okay, so those are the at least what you see as a key uses of those RPCs, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know that if you have like if you have 1,000 Eden tokens, like if you're holding 1,000 Eden tokens in the address that you do the transaction from, then you also get priority in the line. So they prioritize their token holders.
Yeah,
I'm not sure
it's
that's really worth it. The Eden token hasn't really done very well as far as holding its value.
yeah, I know. If you stake it, you get
Hmm.
discounts or sorts.
Yep. Well, you have to have 1,000 minimum tokens to get like priority, and then there's different rankings for like you can get higher priority by having more tokens, but I haven't found the priorities worth the cost.
Cool. Just finding quicker, easier, and cheaper ways to to run transactions and minimize gas.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we should all be doing all the time. Only you can prevent forest fires, right? Only you can prevent yourself from getting wrecked.
Yep, yep. I think a lot of the first day minters uh, probably might feel a little bit unhappy as well if they are not getting
Yeah.
the value they expect a quick return, and if they didn't get it out in time, yeah, they might have to wait quite
Well,
some time.
that's okay. That's a good lesson, right? Then they have to either hold them or dump them at a loss. And that's a good lesson. You know, aping in isn't always the best approach. So hopefully they'll learn from that. Hopefully they'll hold them because if they just hold them, I mean, shoot, any of the ones that I staked early on, I'm just holding them as liquid because they were. I mean, I knew I could have got my ETH back, but it was just like a round robin for break even. What's the point, right? I just soon have the liquid in my address that I can potentially take advantage of some other opportunity that may exist in the near future. I have a feeling there's a lot of people that aren't talking about what they're building, but they are building. That's just me. And that's pure speculation, but I want to have liquid tokens for, you know, when they start talking, because I think they will.
Yeah, but I'm glad that the fees came down quite a bit as well because the gas came down quite a bit, so it's a lot more convincing for people who come in now and to get them to try to claim and mint.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it looks like whatever we're doing is working because the gas costs are coming down even further. We're holding consistently in the 11 to 12 GUI range right now, and that is 50% on Zen users. So people are listening and implementing the ideas. That's great. That works. That saves us all money, all of us. And these transactions are going through. I'm telling you, at 12 GUI, I think you could even push 11 or 10 if you're willing to wait a minute, because these are going through in 30 seconds or so, under $3, average roughly 280. You guys, if you're making these in batches or whatever, you should be recording all the data on a spreadsheet. And I've dropped the spreadsheet in the chat. You can go to hashtag mint sheet and grab a copy of it. And all the blue fields are what you fill in. There's only one other field that's got formulas in it, and it'll figure out your average cost per token for you once you mint. you have to have something in the minted tokens field or the token, whatever it's called. Hold on. Tokens minted. If you put, once something is populated in the tokens minted field, then you can actually just, put a fake number in there to see at any given time. Like if you take that estimated amount and just paste it into that field for that particular address, it'll tell you exactly what your cost per token would be at this moment. And then you can go compare that to what's being traded on the exchange, and you can see, you know, where the price is in comparison to your mint price. But when you finally mint, that's when you actually put the real number in that field. That's column J, and then it will just calculate everything for you. And 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 then you probably want to put them into another spreadsheet at that point, a cost average type spreadsheet where you're putting them in as a buy at the price of the total combined of all your fees, right? So I put a column in there for claim fee. I put a column in there for transfer gas transfer fee. So if you're doing this the way I'm doing it, you're putting all your gas in address one, you're claiming, then you're rolling all your gas to address two, and then you're claiming on that address, and so on down the road. So your total amount of gas is just rolling from address. So that's what that gas transfer fee is. The third column is for a mint fee, and the last column is for a stake fee. So if you when you mint, if you claim and share, that's going to just be a single fee, and then your stake fee would only show up in batches. So you might do the whole batch and then just have one stake fee, and you could split that up into the 10, or you can just put it on one of them. It doesn't really matter because
How can
ultimately
I ask
you're
you
going to want to
something?
you're going to want to tally them up and
Hello,
have your
mister.
average cost per token over the whole batch.
Do you speak too much, but the price is so low?
Yeah, the
Do you
price is
want
going to
it
probably
more?
go lower. It's because
Do
of the
you see
mechanism.
next chain there is 30% decrease?
Yeah, that's totally to be expected with this token creation and distribution model. We're starting with zero supply.
No, we need stabilization, not just a bullshit of your token progress.
Well, if you don't understand the mechanisms, you won't understand that, why the price is doing what it's doing. We're in price discovery, and it's got to do what it's doing.
Anything you can do to solve the price problem?
It's not a problem.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
you
yep.
have to look at it properly through the right lens. That's the only issue. There's no problem with the price. You see, on day one, there was zero Zen, there was zero liquidity, and yet there was this price of 1.6 cents, right? For a token that was going to be in the millions and billions and possibly trillions. Right. So what was that price coming from? What was that price? You say it's falling, but was it really falling? Because if there was zero supply and there was zero liquidity, wouldn't the price be zero? Isn't that the value of a token when there's zero supply and zero liquidity and zero users? And we just got started, and then there was this big price. And since then, the chart has been looked at, and obviously it's coming to its real much to what actually it is its price. And people are saying its price is going down, but that never was its price. So it's not going down, it's just reaching its price. If you understand that part of the price discovery, then you know that it's not going down in price whatsoever, actually. And if you calculate you go through all the math of the supply and the cost of minting it, you actually realize it's a little bit overpriced, and it still has ways to go, and it's going to stay relative. And that fair price, which is hasn't reached quite, but is very close to reaching, according to the supply, should keep going along. And that, with all the new supply coming in, it'll still keep fair price, but there'll be much more supply. So obviously the price is going to have to go down to adjust to the new supply, but it still will be fair price. And that'll be keep going. And then when the supply will start coming less quickly, and there won't be that that uh many mints will have come in, uh and other mechanisms come in and liquidity come in, then there'll be able to be a market. Now there's not really a market. It's just price discovery, really. People are selling as soon as there's anything they're selling. And yeah.
Hello. That's more liquidity in market make the price always decrease day to the day. I
Because
think
there's always new
main
supply,
concept is not
right?
aligned.
Because you started at zero, so new supply. But if you look at another project where the supply was already pre-minted, right, and
When
you
we
start,
get to the AP break
then
even
you don't
point,
have that effect. So it's really just the way you're looking at it. And people who think that the price is going down and that it's losing value, it's not losing value. It's gaining value. The reason it's gaining value is because there's more and more adopters coming into the token. And that's really what matters.
Right, aren't we holding just a little? What did you say earlier today? You calculated around 20% lower than the like a gas transaction, as if we were going to as if we were to mint versus buying today. It's approximately 20% higher this morning.
Yeah, no, actually that was like end of afternoon. So yeah, maybe like 6 hours, 7 hours ago. So it was 18%
So
higher. It was
so there's definitely tokens out there that would be lower than that in value. Much more than 20%. You know where I'm going with this?
um
Obviously, it
wait.
wouldn't be worth.
No,
Obviously, selling right now, you'd be losing 20% than the value it would
yeah,
take to mint. But there's plenty
yeah,
of other
no,
tokens out there that would be you would be losing much more than 20%.
yeah, but no, that's not the calculation. It's not tokens, it's mint. So the sample
But
was that I took, right? I took the amount of tokens that I minted in 7 days from day one, and today was day seven. So that should follow price, fair price. I mean, just about, right? Like I minted on day one, 7 days, and 7 days later, I got X amount of coins. It was like 450,000 coins. And I'm on that same day, day seven, and I checked the price, and it was 16 to 18%. I mean, the price was moving, but 16 to 18% above fair value. I mean, it was worth more than what I had paid to mint it by
okay,
18%.
okay.
See what I'm saying?
Oh
And
yeah.
tomorrow, I would expect it to be similar or maybe a little bit lower or higher. That can vary. But on day one, it was much higher. on day one, it was way overvalued, obviously. And on day two, it was still, if you would look at the price of a 2-day mint, it was still overvalued. But the overvaluation, I would expect to come down as it's reaching closer and closer to price discovery because there's a bigger sample. Market had more time to discover the price and to trade it. And it should, the objective is really just to reach that point. But what I was saying
Can you
also
look at
earlier,
the price? The price is still down. Okay.
Okay, but if somebody would have, when they established that liquidity pool, if somebody would have put a fair market value as the starting price, like 6 zeros and a one, the chart would be nothing but
You
up.
want to make it zero?
They're just taking advantage of people. That's it. The price ain't going down. If you
It's
got,
just in relation to the starting price of the liquidity pool. So somebody
Don't
set the
scamming your
initial starting
investor.
price of the liquidity pool too high. So yes, the price is going down on the price chart on the secondary market and will continue to go down until it matches fair market price. That's why we're in here telling people they should mint instead of buy on the secondary market. It makes no sense to buy on the secondary market. You're paying more than you could pay to just mint them. So why would you buy them? Just mint them.
we've been warning people for weeks not to buy it. Just mint it.
Hi, may I say something? Hi, good
Sure.
night.
sure.
Um, you know, when I came into this, I didn't care about price because I know I'm going to mint and I'm going to mint my heart out as much as I can. So when people talk about price, I say, don't care about price now. I haven't even looked at the price for days. You know, I'm just going because I know the value. That's when you really know value, is in this is when you just mint it for free and the value will come with what people do with it in the future.
Right. So you saw the value in the project as opposed to the price of a token at any given time.
So the price of the token is free from minting. Just
No,
minting for
You
free.
just your gas cost is the only cost you pay to mint.
So
which
why
is
you
not
add it
free.
to the market? Just to prank someone?
What did you say?
No,
Why did
we can't control who creates a secondary market or what price they open the price at, what price they set the opening price at. Nobody has control over that except the first guy that puts liquidity pool into a DEX. Anyone can do that. So the person who started these pools, they all set the price too high and they didn't understand the mechanisms for the token distribution, creation and distribution model. And so now we just have to watch that play out and until it finds its fair market price. That's just price discovery. If they would have started the price too low, we'd see a chart that's doing nothing but slowly up and to the right. But they started the price too high, so we're going to see a price that goes slowly down and to the right until we find fair market value. This token distribution isn't like any other that you've experienced in crypto. There, I can think of nothing else that's begun like this.
um, you mustn't confuse a token, okay, with like something that you would buy, like apple or oranges. Okay. It's much more like a currency, okay? So a US dollar or a Japanese yen or any other currency, a peso, okay? They're all basically worth as much if you look at them in terms of they're just a piece of paper and they're just as costly or cheap to print. But they have very different, price points on the market or exchangeable rates. Okay. And that is the tokenomics behind that currency and many factors, as you know. So in crypto, it's very similar. And for example, one of the reasons that the US dollar, just one of the reasons, is that it's so it's worth a lot and it's very strong currency is because many people use it. It's the reserve currency and it's very much in demand in the world. So very similarly, there is the value in Zen. But for right now, because we started at zero supply and the market has not yet been established, but it's growing faster than any other crypto that we know of, we don't think that the price is going down, but rather that the price is going up. It's just that it's not in the value is going up, but the price is just doing its price discovery through the market. And the supply is being printed right now. It's being distributed. So you have to
Yeah,
understand
I,
that
I
to
think
not,
that's more accurate to say the price is going down, but the value is going up.
yeah, the value is going up, the price, but it's not
How
valid
much
to say the price
circulating
is going down.
supplies?
It's not valid
How
to say
much
the price is
circulating
going down,
supplies?
Jack,
How
just
much
because
circulating supplies for right now?
what's that?
Circulating supplies.
Supply?
Supplies.
The supply is on chain. The price, we don't know what we can calculate it, estimate it from the total supply and the cost to mint it. And as I said earlier today, I did a test and seemingly it's following the fair price, but actually a little bit above by about 18%. So I think we still have a little bit to go for it to reach fair price. But this is considering all the supply that's coming in right now. Tomorrow there's going to be more supply, and the day after there's going to be more supply. So it has to adjust according to the supply. The important thing is that it just keeps fair value according to how much money everyone spent combined and how much there's supply of total supply. But the price that you're speaking of is not actually it's not the price of Zen. It's the price in the liquidity pool. Okay, that was made by initially when there was no supply and there was a whole bunch of liquidity on the fiat side that reached 1.6 cents. That has nothing to do with it. That was MXC price. It had someone not given that $2 million, okay, on the USD price on the USD side, that we'd never have seen that. It has nothing to do with Zen.
Those charts you're looking at are an illusion, a complete and utter illusion. Do not believe in them.
The price chart is very real. It just represents what buyers and sellers are deciding that the fair market price is worth on the secondary market. And
You're you're
what they're doing
you're
is
right. You're
exactly
right, Jack. I'll take that back.
what Honey
You're
Deal says.
absolutely right.
What Honey Deals is saying is that it has to keep adjusting as the fair price to mint decreases with new days coming out. So every day that we go further out from launch, the cost of minting goes down because the people are paying essentially, let's just say, the same price to mint, whether you mint 1 day or 100 days. Well, the people
Right.
who mint 100 days have a much lower average cost per token than the people who mint 1 day. So in 100 days, price should be lower than it is now with all other factors remaining the same. We don't know. There's a lot of factors that could drive that price up in the meantime. Early to above what fair mint price is. But all we have to go
He
on
and
now
I
is what
discussed
fair
that.
mint price is.
He and I discussed that for hours earlier today. I mentioned the illusion thing because there are so many people coming into the community that did not do their research. They don't know what it is. They FOMO'd in. They got wrecked, and they don't know what the hell is going on.
I think it'd be
So,
more
and
more
a
fair
lot of
to
the
say
times, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt that they can understand if they do a little research and maybe listen to this chat for a while. But most of them aren't. They just want
then
money.
I think it would be more fair to say to those people that the secondary price does not and probably will not reflect the fair market minting cost of these tokens for many days yet. It could be months. It could
It
be a
is foolish
year.
to say that.
And that way
But,
they don't
but
confuse the cost to mint with the cost to buy on the secondary markets.
right. And generally speaking, like that's it. But you have to consider that I think what Denizen is saying when he says an illusion, maybe the better word is a confusion, okay, but a confusion kind of is an illusion or delusion. But you have to consider that in the crypto world and liquidity pools and small liquidity pools and all that kind of stuff that people can do and use and manipulate, that oftentimes there are coins that are can be put at ridiculous valuations, okay, in the thousands of dollars just through the liquidity pool, and those prices can be in your sense, yes, real from the market's point of view, but what we're talking about a very small slice of confused market, and for a period of time of 10 minutes to 15 minutes to 30 minutes, and the thing just tanked all the way down. So to say that's the real price is kind of, yeah, like in the theoretical sense, some part of the market gave it value, but it was very manipulated, confused, and unfortunately, if somebody thinks that that was the price of that at that point in time, that was the real price of Zen and just tanked from there, they're going to feel very like like a rug pull, right? But
I
I'm
mean,
just saying
I don't
that
think
was
there's
not.
any disagreement between any of us. We're just explaining it a
No,
little
no,
differently.
but
It's
that,
just
but
like
I'm just
Jack
making.
said, if it had started at a more realistic price in the beginning, then we would have just had a gentle upward slope versus downward, right? But as Jack said, it is a fair price because people people made a choice to pay that price,
A
a
buyer and
completely
a seller
inflated
got together
price.
and agreed that that price at
Right.
that moment was fair, and they swapped those tokens.
Correct. Yeah, that's a perfectly fair deal. There's two parties that
Oh,
agreed to a price, and that's just the way it is. So,
yeah, okay. If you call that fair price, okay, or fair, but I do consider that there's a lot of manipulation, and I'm thinking not like in this case, it's one thing. It was confused people that were paying overpriced, like ridiculously overpriced, but other times it's just like market manipulation of the liquidity to jack the price up a token, and then people they get the sense that there's a lot of, it's a high price. Like I said, it could be in the thousands of dollars. You could do that with through liquidity, and it's just absolute bogus, and they're all the supply is there and it just dumps in them, and is that like really willing participants, or is that just outright like just nonsense? I kind of tend to think that in a sense there's a little bit of nonsense going around, and when MXC
there
MXC comes
people
in,
were taken advantage of because they did not do their research and they were completely taken advantage of.
right? Okay,
They were
there.
there's predators out there and they got preyed on. It happens every day in this space. That's what happened.
So, maybe I can share my experience because I'm no brilliant person by far, but I've been around crypto for a few years now, and I feel like a fool, yes, but maybe I can share my perspective. It might help people understand a little bit more about it. I threw equivalent to 300 USD worth or so of some other token that I wanted to get rid of and traded it for Zen on day like 2 or 3, right? I got totally wrecked, right? I'm like a 99% down, right? But I'm no fool. I know how liquidity pools work, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I probably should have thought a little bit more about it, but it was basically, it was just a gamble. So basically, I thought to myself, well, maybe in this particular pool, I might have the opportunity to trade these tokens again at some point for a profit, right? And so I think the price is going to trend toward the difference between the population that is, and I also, just to be fair, I also minted way more like for free, right? Like I also created some the way you're supposed to, much more Zen than I actually paid for, right? So let me throw that in there too. But I think
Perfect.
that the price will start to trend toward the difference between the people who are sort of like able or willing to do one or the other, right? Like there's the people who don't know how or don't care to know how to minute themselves. Then there's the people that are sort of the next tier down in experience that just buy purely from exchanges. But then there are people all through in between those spectrums, right? It is pretty fascinating to watch how this is all playing out. So and something else, just in like the rules of actual economics or whatever, in microeconomic firms, the price is literally equal to somebody's willingness to pay. Like WTP is like a economic acronym. It stands for willingness to pay, and it literally is the price on small scale.